My name is John Ficca. I'm the Director of Hands-On Education. And I realized today that we, Hands-On at Hyatt, has started at the same time as Family Cafe. We've been 28 years. And that's noteworthy. So the first thing I'd like to do is give a round of applause to that fact. I'm gonna take you through a journey of what we've done over the last 28 years. And then because this is so special, we've had 3 students training here for the last 2 weeks. And today is usually graduation day. So we're gonna bring them up at the end and present their certificates to them in front of a little bit bigger audience and certainly a bigger room than we normally do. Okay, we like to say that we're accentuating the I in IEPs and IPEs. It stands for individual. And a lot of teachers and counselors and parents and students, sometimes we lose focus that we need to be focusing on the individual needs of each and every student. You might have a strength over here or a limitation over there. Where can you best work? We started in 1998 at the Hyatt Regency West Shore in Tampa. It was so long ago. Hey, how are you doing? It was so long ago that it wasn't called the Grand Hyatt Tampa Bay back then. And it's a partnership with Hyatt, with local school districts, and state vocational rehabilitation agencies. We train in all departments, and it's a paid internship, always has been, and we're the only program in Florida where our students are employees of Hyatt, of the employer. If they do an OJT in another area of the state with another local service provider, they will actually be an employee of the provider doing an unpaid internship at that location. And that's significant to me. It doesn't mean that that's a bad experience for those individuals, but this is reality to the max. They train in lots of different departments. All the pictures you see are actual students. They're not stock photos from the internet. Culinary has an asterisk because of those stupid food channels. We get a lot of people that want to work in culinary. And I call them stupid food channels because I'm a cook by trade. I cooked my way through USF and became a special education teacher as a cook. And so I know from working in the industry for 20-some years, it's not that glamorous all the time. It's glamorous when it hits the plate, and it looks all beautiful, and everybody's going, "Oh, look at this! It tastes so good." But the majority, or 95% of culinary, is prepping the food, ordering the food, dealing with people that are called in sick. It's a lot of other aspect that has nothing to do with heat or actual cooking. But we train in other departments too. The one young man is training in Tampa. The one young lady is in housekeeping, and that was at the Hyatt Regency Dallas at Reunion. We're all over Florida. And Hyatt said, why are we just in one city? Why are we just in one department? And so now we're operating all over the country. And if you told me in the 90s when I was getting my degree from USF that as a special ed teacher I would be getting on an airplane to go to work, I would have called you crazy. But Hyatt opened my eyes. Hyatt said, don't think like this. Don't think like Tampa. What about Orlando? What about Miami? What about Minneapolis? And they've made it so easy because all these folks get transferred all over the place. And it's so cool because they will call me or text me or email me and say, hey, John, I just got to Indian Wells, and when can we start the program? That's in California. And it's just really cool. They've really opened the door to our expansion to other cities and states, and also CSAVR, which is a national organization, because it helps us expand because they have the points of contact in every state. And I couldn't talk about CSAVR without saying Kathy West Evans. She's in this picture. We were recognized by the White House in 2014. It wasn't an award. It was more of a think tank. They brought 10 people or 10 organizations there and the Secretary of Labor there was there, Secretary of Education, talking about how did you start this, why did you start it, how could we do it in other areas, and it was really a prideful moment for me because there I was at the White House with Kathy, and the gentleman on the left side, it was the former VP of Human Resources for Hyatt. The qualifications, at most locations, most properties, they have to be at least 18. There are some exceptions for like recreation department, a couple others, but most of them have to be 18. They have to have a documented disability. They have to be able to do the job. We're trying to capture the population of individuals that I call them in-betweeners. They don't need a full-time job coach, but yet maybe they can't go to college. And so we're trying to capture those in-betweeners. And they can't have any criminal history. They have to meet the minimal quals of Hyatt because they're employees of Hyatt. A high school diploma or GED is not required because it's not required by the industry. It blows people's minds. Up in Tallahassee, at Department of Education, blows their minds. When we first created this, it was a meeting up there. They said, what grade level do they have to be able to read? And I said, none. And they were like, well, and I said, some of the best chefs can't speak English. Give them an FCAT in English. They will fail that test, but they can cook their butts off. And so it's all about taking care of the guest or producing the products that take care of the guests. It's an 80-hour paid internship over 2 weeks. We have made accommodations for people that can't work 8-hour shifts and have them do 3 or 4 weeks. They get paid, they get a certificate, they get experience, they put it on their resume, but the most valuable thing they get is a recent employment reference from a 4-star hotel. So when 3 young people that graduate today, when they go and apply for a job, it always asks you, one of the first questions, where's the last place you worked? Hyatt Regency, Orlando, Resort and Spa, adjacent to the Orange County Convention Center. And they have a certificate to prove it. So when they get these certificates, I call them a ticket to work. People in rehab world, they think of a ticket as something else, but and they get to train with some of the best people in the industry. The certificate looks like this. It's signed by their department head and the general manager or the managing director. And speaking of that, I would like, I think I see him out there, Paul, if you would, for folks that aren't in the industry, you have general managers, but at hotels like this that are this big, you'll have a managing director and a hotel manager. Paul has been involved with our program since 2008 at 3 different Hyatts. Paul, would you say a few words to? No. And
I don't get the fancy mic.
No.
I don't know why I don't get the fancy mic. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Congratulations to the graduates. Look forward to you getting your diplomas. I've had the pleasure since 2008. His first hotel, as he mentioned, in 1998 was the Hyatt Regency West Shore. which became then the Grand Hyatt Tampa. I was the general manager there in 2008. I came down from New Jersey. I knew nothing about this program. No one told me about it. I came to work, I'm walking through the kitchens, and I see people working there, and I had no idea what it was. So I immediately went to my HR department and said, explain this to me. And I will tell you, after they explained it to me, the impact that it has made in the lives of not only the students or the employees that are here, the families, and how impactful it is on my colleagues. They love having the students here. They love working with them. They love seeing them grow. We have a gentleman right there in the back named Carl. Carl, stand up. Carl's a former graduate of the hands-on program. We have so many success stories. One of the first people that I met in Grand Tampa ended up becoming an executive chef with the Marriott. So there's so many success stories that you see. I believe I just was told now that Dave is going to be hired on as an on-call person in our laundry department, if I'm not mistaken. So that is just incredible. And really the one thing I'd like to comment, and I always say this every time I come to speak at these graduations, is I want to, come on, don't go so far away, John. Geez. I want to give a shout out to this gentleman right here. I always do it. The work that he does is just simply incredible. He has energy. He's the nicest person maybe I know. Okay, does give me a hard time every once in a while, but it's probably deserved. But really, truly, a round of applause for John, that all that he does. So, okay.
Thank you, Paul.
So again, congratulations to our graduates today, and I'll see you in a little bit upstage to get your diplomas.
Thank you, Paul. I tell my students, my daughter, my nephews and nieces, anybody that will listen, I tell them that life is about relationships. Work is about details, but life is about relationships. And this is just an example. I truly love my Hyatt family, and they can feel that I'm just as passionate as they are, and it makes me feel good that I'm not lying when I talk about life is about relationships. The next person I'd like to have come up is Rocky Pitt. Rocky's gonna talk to you about the Hyatt HR Perspective and why this program kind of fits into what they're doing.
No, absolutely. Nice to meet everybody. Good morning. My name is Raki, and I'm part of the HR department. We're so proud to have this partnership for over 25 years, as John mentioned. We really support the mission that is hands-on education, but I think it's more than just a training program for us. You know, it's become part of who we are at Hyatt. Hyatt's purpose is fairly simple: caring for people so they can be their best. And I think the hands-on education program not only embodies it, but it puts it into action, right? And you can see that all around, especially we have successful graduates that have made long-term careers with us, even today, as you mentioned, Carl, and people who we bring on board. So every single one of these individuals contributes to our culture and our purpose here at the hotel, and we're very proud of that. I wanted to just say, you know, congratulations to our graduates this year. We're so excited to have you a part of us, and thank you so much for, you know, letting us be a part of your journey as well. So congratulations.
Thank you. Did you prepare something?
No.
Okay. I told her, just speak from your heart. And these graduations happen every couple weeks in Orlando or Tampa or Seattle. And now you know why I love my job so much, because these people, and I'm talking about Hyatt people, they really do live their purpose. It's not just something on a wall. It's not a mission statement that companies give. You know, we take care of our customers every day, 365 days. No. This is, we just care for people so they can be their best. And not just the guests coming through the front door, but the internal guests coming through the back door. And so, not to embarrass you, Mama, but one of the parents, when Dave was applying, she was giving me like flags. He's going to need support here and there and everywhere. And I was going, Mama, don't worry, don't worry. And she goes, well, he did a work experience last summer at another hotel, and it didn't work out so well, and blah, blah. And she was nervous. And because I've been married to a Puerto Rican for 45 years, I know a few words in Spanish. And I just said, no te preocupes, which means don't worry. And it's so cool to have her come in today and hear that he's going to be an on-call employee. And so that is the feeling and the culture that Hyatt provides every day. The next person I'd like to bring up is Chef Alan. Alan is the chef in charge of associate dining. It is a huge restaurant. There's almost 1,000 employees here, and they all get to eat for free. Chef, when we brought in Jonathan last week, Jonathan's unique, but Chef said, okay, let's do it. And so Chef, if you could just share your perspective and why you value what we're doing.
First and foremost, I want to introduce myself. My name is Alan Almodovar. Like he said, I am the supervisor chef up in the employee cafeteria. I've been working with John going on the past few years now with this program, and I just want to I'm very thankful and honored for this opportunity, to work with these individuals who come in and want to show that they can take a hold of this opportunity and make the best of it. The past couple weeks, I've been working with Jonathan. He's been nothing but a positive force in the kitchen for us. Every day he comes in with a positive attitude and the energy to come and do anything that's asked of him, be it big, small, and that's what we look for, to bring positive energy, because not every day is, especially working in a big property like this, and you take your 30 minutes of lunch, you're not going to come in the most excited for lunch. Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're exhausted from a busy day, but to have him in here with his smile and his positive attitude really kind of makes other people's days, not just guests, but also the employees. So it's nice to have that and bring that in and include that in the program, And I really appreciate the opportunity to have been working with Jonathan from the different things we've done, from making soup to making different prepared salads, to setting up the salad bar, to prepping lunch all day long. It's been a pleasure working with him. He's been a fine young gentleman.
All right. Thank you, Chef. Man. That's what we need to find when we're I wish they would stop using the word rehabilitation, because it doesn't sound good to employers, because it makes it sound like it's drugs or alcohol or you're in jail or whatever. But in our world of special education, I'm going to call it, we need to not just get the owners and the general managers and the managers' blessing. We need to get the blessings of the sous chefs and the supervisors and the co-workers, because they're the ones that are working side by side with our students. Diane, are you here? I was trying to find you. No, she's not? All right, I'm going to just speak on behalf of Diane. She runs the laundry, and she's been with Hyatt 30-some years. She's a wonderful mama type. She quickly, you can see, when I want to take a picture, she grabbed onto him. And she was like very interested from the very beginning, because he's got a great attitude. And that's what she said. He's got a great attitude. He shows up and he does whatever he's told. I'm going, yeah, it's just like a marriage. I just got to do what I'm told. Is Nicole here? Okay, I'll give you some comments from her and Abed, her supervisor. When Anila first came on the very first day, they weren't sure what they were going to do and what the places she was going to work, and they got creative. And before long, it wasn't even for long. It was that day they saw that if they just told her here's what you're going to be doing, she was fine. One of the things we see with students who are either low verbal skills or nonverbal is that people don't know, it's kind of like deafness. People don't know how to communicate with them. And some of the people that know me, I went back to school to learn sign language because I got tired of not being able to give them instant feedback. I wanted to be able to look at the students, because I'm talking to the hearing folks, and I'm going, you're doing a wonderful job. Or, why are you late again? What's up with the attitude? I wanted to be able to do that. Okay, Diane, luckily there's a back button. If you could come up, please. And you know what? I didn't tell her that I was going to introduce her. All right, cool. Stairs right here. Got it? Diane, we've already, when Rocky came up, she told the audience that you have graciously offered to keep him on call.
I did.
Can you give the audience just a little bit of feedback on why you think this experience was good for you and your team?
One thing, first of all, welcome everybody. Over the 39 years I've been here, we've been working with handicapped people and disability people. And I have other people in my department. Now with Dave, he's very attentive. He's focused. And he does a good job, I'm telling you. And I love it. And I said, oh my God. And he loves what he does. And everybody just fell in love with him. And he's very friendly and very caring. I said, oh my God, I would love to keep him on and work with him and try to train him that he can go out and be a successful young man.
Cool, thank you, Diane. Chef David. Chef David is the executive chef. He's been at this property, gosh, 9 years? Okay. This is a huge hotel, and he totally smells what we're cooking. Not because he's a chef, but, and it's been cool, it's called Family Cafe, and they got the chef's hat at the front desk. Chef, if you could share your perspective.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, John. It's never an easy task following John, who loves to speak publicly. I'm more behind-the-scenes guy, so bear with me. But as John said, I'm David Barrett, executive chef of the property here, and I'd like to welcome the families of the graduates as well as the members of Family Cafe to this graduation. As we all know, Family Cafe has been caring and serving for young people, adults with special needs and disabilities, and their families throughout Florida's local community for over 25 years. Truly appreciate all their efforts and years of service, and I want to take a minute just to acknowledge that fact.
Yeah.
When I was up this morning, chefs get up pretty early, probably like a lot of you do, but I was up early this morning before the sun came up, having a cup of coffee, kind of reflecting on this upcoming weekend and what Family Cafe means to us here at the hotel. And I couldn't help but draw parallels to Family Cafe as well as hands-on education. Hands-on education has been supporting the same local communities here in Florida for over 25 years as well as nationwide. So thank you, John. What hands-on education, I think, I've been with Hyatt for 40 years, and so I have the opportunity at a couple of different properties to work with hands-on education. But it offers a unique, how should I put this? Hands-on education is supporting the same local communities, as I said, young people and adults with needs, disabilities, unique opportunity to have exposure to life skills, personal responsibility, and more importantly, workplace skills that will lend itself to ultimately future employment opportunities. While you're here this weekend, if you're with the Family Cafe, and you're at our outlets throughout this hotel, please keep in mind, if you go to the market and you grab a little something there that's been made in this hotel, Nick or Chris probably had a hand in that. If you visit the Sen 21, you'll find Alex there preparing your lunch. If you stop by our Italian restaurant for dinner, Fiorenzo, you'll find Rachel, who will be preparing your salads and your desserts. And if you happen to have any of our fantastic pastries here throughout the hotel, from breakfast pastries to dessert, more than likely, Nate has had a hand in producing that as well. And what do all these folks have in common? Somebody help me out.
Hands-on education.
Exactly. They are all graduates of our hands-on education, and employed here at the hotel, do a fantastic job for us. Which brings us to why we're here, and that is Jonathan, the most recent hands-on culinary graduate. Well, not exactly yet, because Jonathan, you haven't got that diploma yet from Mr. Fika, so you're gonna have to hang on a second. But he's been here for 2 weeks, waking up early, reporting to our busiest outlet here at the Hyatt Regency Orlando, which is our associate dining room, which feeds over 400 associates a day, every day, after day, after day. So it's no easy task. Chef Allen, who was up here moments ago with Tia and Esther, have done nothing but great things to say about you, Jonathan. From being on time to being on your feet for 8 hours a day without a complaint, which, believe me, is not an easy task if you're not used to it. From helping restock the hot buffet to stocking our salad bar before and during service hours, Jonathan also found time to be present in the main kitchen, where we did a dish up for 500 meals, to-go meals for families, which we distributed yesterday. And Jonathan was part of that. So thank you, Jonathan. So Jonathan, on behalf of the 100 culinarians and the 900 associates here at the Hyatt Regency Orlando, we just want to say thank you for all of your hard work and inspiration you gave us over the last 2 weeks. Thank you.
Where did I put my thingy? Okay. In 2015, Congress did something. All the other years I've known about Congress, they have done very little. But in 2015, they've done something where they reauthorized the Workforce Investment Act. They created I made this copy from the conference. It was at the Hyatt Regency Miami. And it talks about provide opportunities for work-based learning experiences, including internships, short-term employment, partnerships, fellowships. And I remember sitting there looking at that slide in Miami thinking, we've been doing it for 16 years. When we went to DC, the Department of Labor, the Secretary of Labor, they introduced a new box for federal compliance. There was always a box that employers, federal contractors, had to recruit and hire, demonstrate that they're recruiting and hiring veterans. But they added a new box that you had to demonstrate that you're recruiting and hiring people with disabilities. And I turned to the Vice President of Human Resources and I said, isn't it cool, Doug? All these other companies are going to be scrambling to get in compliance, and Hyatt doesn't have to do a damn thing. I said, you've been demonstrating it for 16 years. And excuse my language can you say damn at Hyatt? I just did. Talking about a dam and it holds water. Paul mentioned this young man. He graduated our program in 2003. He had a special diploma, meaning that he couldn't pass the state norm test. He was hired by the Hyatt. He stayed there for a couple years, and then he left to help open a local restaurant because a sous chef asked him to come. A couple years later, it wasn't going well at this brand new restaurant, so he left and he landed at the Renaissance Hotel, which, as Paul stated, is one of those other competitor properties. And 4 years later, he was promoted to executive chef. And I asked him, you don't have to tell me how much you're making, but I need to know how much you're making. Because I didn't want them to take advantage of this young man by just giving him a title. And he said that large company has minimum wage for executive chefs, and that was $69.5. He said, so basically I'm making minimum wage. And I was like, man, I'm so proud of you, because I knew that one of our students would eventually get there, but I didn't know it was going to happen so quickly. Now he's the executive chef at Innisbrook Resort in Palm Harbor. And sorry, Chef Andrew, but I'm going to tell him that his salary has doubled since then. You do the math. In Florida, where there's no tax on income, that's a pretty good salary. These two gentlemen, Caesar at the top, trained in the kitchen at Grand Cypress in Orlando, down the street. And he trained in the kitchen, and he did a great job, but they didn't have any openings. So he came up to us and he said, he was like 18. He goes, I love it here. I don't want to leave. I'll take anything. I said, go down to HR and tell them exactly what you just said. So he goes down to HR, and they said, well, we love you too, Caesar. We do have a couple entry-level positions open. Pick one. Pick one. And he goes, what's a bar back? And they explain that they help the bartenders. And he goes, I'll do it. So he did that for 6 months, and he got promoted to bartender. He's been there 14 years now. He's got a 401k. He's got good pay. And also, for those of you who don't know this, I love bragging on Hyatt. They're the only hotel corporation that gives their associates 12 free hotel nights a year. So they can go to Miami or Coconut Point or wherever, and they can stay for a long weekend. And then when they're there, they get half off their food and beverage, because they want their associates to have fun. They want them to enjoy these benefits. So I've often thought, if you work for Hyatt and you're married to somebody that works for the airlines, man, you got it, you know. Zach trained here in guest services before the pandemic. He was hired on at the Bell Stand and did an awesome job. Chef mentioned Rachel. She went through our program in 2005. She was also an ESA student from Orlando. They didn't have an opening at Grand Cypress, so she quickly got a job at the Rosen Hotel. One thing we know is that if you have a certificate from Hyatt and the food handler certification and some experience from a 4-star hotel, there's jobs out there. So she, pretty much on her own, got a job at the Rosen across the street. And then a couple years later, she heard about a position at the Peabody. And I don't know if you know, the Peabody is this huge hotel. It's beautiful, and it's right next to the convention center. Well, a couple years later, Hyatt bought this place. And so there was Rachel working for Hyatt again. And I love this photo. It's a crappy quality, but the chef at the time was Chef Larry Eels. Anybody that knows Chef Larry, he didn't smile much. He's what we call the intense kind of chefs that just do the job. And he emailed me and he said, John, and I could hear the excitement in his voice as he's typing. He said, John, Rachel just walked in my office, and she said, I'm so glad we're doing this program because I'm a graduate. And she handed him this certificate. And he took a picture of it and sent it to me with his excited typing. And he just thought it was so cool. Rachel continues to work here and training the new folks who he happens to work here now. Logan graduated our program in, what does it say there? 2001, at the Hyatt Regency Tampa downtown. His mother sent me this picture 20 years later, and in 2021, and she said, John, you probably don't remember us, but I'm Donna Jones, and my son went through your program, and today's the 20th anniversary. And she wanted to tell me thank you and to say, please share our appreciation with Hyatt, because he now I have to tell you, Logan happens to be deaf. And he was graduate from School for the Deaf and Blind, and he got a job right away. And and she wanted to tell me he'd been working full-time ever since. And then she added a couple pictures. One is a picture of Logan. He's looking back on the line. He's passing something to the expediter. If anybody has ever worked with Darren Gidney, he's a veteran with Hyatt. He's the chef in the back. Darren was the executive sous chef, and now he works for the corporate office. But she had saved this brochure that we had many years ago, and she wanted to show it to me. And so I emailed her back and said, of course I remember you guys. Congratulations to Logan. I said, send me a picture of him now. So she sent me this one. And at the time, he was working at a golf club in Leland, North Carolina. So that shows you that you can take these certificates anywhere. He moved to North Carolina and got a job there. I added this slide. But by the way, anybody got time? I put my phone away. Time? 12:10. Perfect. They said I only have 4 or 5 hours, so just relax. I'll get through this. Oh, and by the way, Chef David, you are an awesome public speaker. When you come to the graduations, he doesn't have anything prepared, and man, he just rocks the house every time. So I just thought of it as I was speaking. Yes. So in 2025, about a year ago, I get an email, and the email is from Singapore. And it's a large organization that works with people with disabilities. There's about 1,000 employees. And they basically are it's not a state agency, but it's a large nonprofit. And they do all the disability-related services. And they had heard about our program, and they emailed me and Mark Haplamazian. And for the folks that don't work for Hyatt, he's the CEO. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, what's this all about? I read it. I hit reply all because I wanted the CEO's office to know I got this. And I said, hey, we don't have a class going. Oh, they wanted to meet. They were going to be in St. Louis. And I said, we don't have a class going on, but I'll be there. Just give me the dates. I'll be there. And then I quickly emailed the HR director at St. Louis, who I've known for many years. And I said, Tim, can you help me make this happen? And so everybody came together. They came. There were 16 of them. They were all doctors and directors, and they were so kind. And my wife, when I was going to St. Louis, she said, John, who is speaking? And I said, myself and the HR director. And she goes, he's a guy? And I said, yeah. She goes, you need to bring Kathy West Evans in on the conversation. Well, Kathy couldn't make it from Seattle. She's with CSAVR. And so, she joined us via Zoom or whatever. And I was so glad because almost every single one was a woman. And she goes, my wife, she's so smart. She goes, you don't want women to come in there and see these two guys presenting information. So I said, yes, ma'am, because that's what I do. I'm put it in the wedding vows. So that was really cool. And they're talking about, we've already had some Zoom meetings with the HR directors in Singapore at the Andaz and the Grand, I believe. And so I won't want to do it, but I may have to fly out there and help them. Okay. This brings us to today's graduation event. And I would like to have Jonathan, Anila, and Dave come up on stage, please. Oh, they're like, oh, I'm so nervous. And I would like, I see Nicole out there. Yvette, is that you? If you guys could come up too. Chef Allen, Chef David, and Diane, is she still here? Okay, all right. Okay, come up here in the light. And we do this every time we graduate someone. We want to give them something that, here, just stand up here, boom, and then stand next to him, Dave, and then Nyla, you can stand on the end, and there you go, right here, face this way, okay? Let's do Nyla first. Oh, by the way, I did have a slide with you on there, but you were working. So if I could have Yvette and Nicole come up, please. This is good for photos. Nyla, come step over here by these two beautiful women. Nyla Thomas, this certificate says you've successfully completed an 80-hour course in the area of recreational services, and it's signed by myself, the Director of Recreation and Spa Services, and the Managing Director of the Hyatt Regency Orlando. And speaking of the Managing Director, Paul, you need to be up here for photos. I know. He said, remember he says I give him a hard time sometimes? For the photos. And then the white jackets. You know what's great about working with chefs is that when you're walking through the kitchen, you don't have to remember names. Morning, chef. Morning, chef. Morning, chef. All right. Paul, if you would. Jonathan Thomas. This certificate says you've successfully completed an 80-hour course in the area of food service, culinary arts, and it's signed by myself, the executive chef, and the managing director of the Hyatt Regency Orlando. Congratulations, Jonathan. Diane. And stay up here, too, because we want to take a group shot. Dave Ramos. This certificate says you've also successfully completed an 80-hour course in the area of laundry services, and it's signed by myself, the Director of Laundry, and the Managing Director of the Hyatt Regency Orlando. Congratulations, Dave. Now, if you work for Hyatt, or if you work for Vocational Rehabilitation, come up on the stage. Or if you're a local teacher and you've worked with any of these students.
Anybody? Carl, get up here. Janet.
That's right, you work for Hyatt.
Greg, guys,
Come on, we're gonna take a group photo.
ladies.
And Rocky, would you send me that for our Facebook page? Cool. Yes, it's a group photo. Yeah, there you go. Okay, anybody else? Okay, we got one right here. Oh, this is a nice camera too. All right, one more. Okay. All right, I've been instructed that we have to do one last round of applause.
Yeah. Thank you.
How do you pronounce your name? Ijoma. Yes. Give me a hug. Okay. You were awesome. Awesome. Yeah, well, HR did. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. Okay, I have one more slide, I think. I leave it over here.
Thank you, as always.
This concludes the session. If we have a few minutes, I'll answer some questions. But I put this picture on this last slide because it's my favorite photo that represents our program. We were at this hotel, and the pastry chef had trained this guy with the rest of the pastry cooks. And we were in the HR training room, and I was standing in the back, and we were just finishing what we just did, and we were really kind of done. And the chef, he's a French dude, and he goes, "Jean, can I say something?" And I said, "Sure, chef." And he knew that his parents were there, and he wanted to brag about how good of a job he did in front of the kids' parents. And I just started taking pictures with my phone, and I captured one because it speaks to the care, speaks to the love. He's basically hugging this kid, saying, "You did such a wonderful job." You can see the pride in his eyes, and the kid behind him just wants to go home. But I tell people the only bad part about my job is that I have to tell people that I have a better job than you. It sounds weird, but I encourage all of you to find something that you love so much that you don't feel like it's work. You know, on that first Sunday when we were meeting, Mama, when we were first meeting, doing paperwork, and I know that sometimes parents will go, "Why are we meeting on a Sunday?" And I remind them that one, you know, HR is closed on Sundays, so I don't want to be a burden on them. So they drop off the paperwork for me in security or the front desk, and we do that and take care of all that business. Then I walk them around the hotel, but usually traffic is better on Sundays, and the parents are usually off on Sundays. And so it's the perfect time. But most importantly, I want to remind these kids that this hotel, the hotel industry, is open 7 days a week. And, you know, the last time this front door was locked, it was the day the hotel opened. And so I want them to know that this isn't school anymore. This isn't Monday through Friday. This isn't do something wrong and they smack your hand and you get suspended for a day or two because it's public school. This is the real world. And that's what we've been doing for 28 years. And I'm just so proud of all of the success stories, not only in this room, and Chef, I'm so glad that you reminded me of all the people that work here in your kitchen all over the hotel, but Carl and others that have come and gone over the years. You've helped them start their careers, and I have to give a nod to all the, if you work for VR, just raise your hand. Any VR counselors? That's right, you came up. What's your first name again? Melanie. Oh, you're Melanie. I owe you a hug in a minute, okay? I don't want them to see. I'm really glad that Melanie came. She's the counselor for all three of these students. But they rarely get to come out of their offices and see where the rubber hits the road. This is the fruits of your labor, girl. And they wouldn't have even known about this program if it wasn't for you, because we don't advertise on billboards. Yes. So this is a venture that's only made possible through this unique partnership with VR, with Hyatt, and the local school districts too, that identify the people that are working in the trenches of transition, that are identifying who could benefit from something like this. Because we do have a few hours left, I want to open, I'm joking, I want to open the floor to a few questions. If you have, what time is it now, 12:15? 12:25. We only have 5 minutes, so we can take 1 or 2 short questions. Anybody? Yes, ma'am. Okay, first of all, if you get with me, I'll give you my card. But John at handsoneducation.net. That's also our website, handsoneducation.net. John at handsoneducation.net, all one word. But I think I do have some cards in my, but the good thing though, what city do you live in? Sarasota. The good thing is that if you have a client or a child or whatever that wants to come to the program, we do have a residential component, and the Hyatt is gracious enough to give us a good room rate, and we'll have kids come here for 2 weeks, and they stay up on the 14th floor and then go to work and come back to the 14th floor. So we do that because not everybody can get to Orlando, Tampa. We have Coconut Point down by Fort Myers. That's kind of a drive though too. Any other questions before we wrap this up? Yes, sir. Hands-on education. Yes, we do. Yeah, we're already at the Hyatt Regency Jacksonville. A lot of success stories there too. In fact, I'll end with one more success story. Young man goes through the training in Jacksonville and he's trained at the Bell Stand. Nice young man. And after 3 months, I walked up to him and I said, Joshua, you are doing awesome. You've made it through the probationary period. I said, I'm so proud of you. And he goes, John, I don't get it. And I said, what do you mean? He says, it's not hard to be nice to people. And I said, Joshua, you do get it. The issue is not everybody does. And I said, and thank you, young man, because I'm going to be telling this story forever. So with that, I'm going to conclude it. I'll hang out for a few minutes. John at handsoneducation.net. But how about one more round of applause for all the Hyatt folks that make all of this happen.